Sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and welcome to This Week in Warcraft. Now, of course, it's been a huge week. Tomb of Sargeras has been released for normal and heroic. Mythic comes out next week, which is tomorrow for you guys. And I've had the chance to do it on multiple difficulties, on multiple characters, and I've even done it multiple times, so I think that serves to say that the raid is not completely terrible. I've actually really enjoyed it. I did a video on my first impressions, TLDRs, it was good. And one thing that I really want to say, and one thing that to take away from that video and to really kind of compare it to Nighthold and even more to the point Emerald Nightmare is that how much of a variety in scenery Tomb of Sargeras had. It's like you're starting in a cathedral, okay, like a desecrated, destroyed cathedral. It's like you go underwater, like you're literally under the ocean, all right? And then you go from being under the ocean to being on a spaceship. It's like you're going all over the place and it's just in one raid. And I feel like that change in scenery and how much different stuff that you go through in Tomb of Sargeras is really going to serve to break up the monotony that people are feeling in Nighthold because everything was white and pink, and even more so in Emerald Nightmare when everything was black and red. And I feel like that's one of the big successes with Tomb of Sargeras that people are going to see going down the line, where I don't think people are going to burn out on Tomb of Sargeras quite as fast as they did with the previous two raids. Trial of Hour, I don't really know how to I guess like filter or factor that in, but the main two raids, Nighthold and Emerald Nightmare, I do believe that Tomb of Sargeras is better than those previous two. Now, of course, with any new raid comes out a number of new achievements, which culminates in the meta achievement, Glory of the Tomb Raider. Now, I was privileged enough to be the raid leader of the World First group, and there was a little bit of contention as to who actually did get the World First Glory of the Tomb Raider. There was an EU group, and then there was also our group. I don't really know who actually got it first, but all I do know is that we did get it very, very early, and as far as I know, the other group conceded that we did get it first, but I actually don't have it myself, but I was able to get it for a few other people who had completed the achievements that I didn't have quite yet, so it was awesome to be a part of that. So if for anybody that was also a part of that, I thank you guys very much. It was an awesome experience, and it was really cool to be like the people that actually did it for the first time. And so with a lot of these different meta achievements, for pretty much all of time before this, the meta achievements would give you a mount, right? And so you get like the Ironbound Proto-Drake, you get the Frostbrood Vanquisher, you would get some sort of a mount for completing all these achievements. But they did switch it up a little bit this time. You get two different things. Number one is you get a title. You get the Tomb Raider title, so it would be like Asmongold the Tomb Raider. And then also you get a miniature Legion ship like the Centinax, and it's actually called the Mininax. I think that's what it's called. But either way, it's a very, very small Legion ship. And you get those two items. There's no mount involved, but I think it was really, really cool for them to add that. And it's also interesting for them to switch things up a little bit. And I do welcome that, because just having a new tier come out and then you get the new mount, it did seem a little bit formulaic. So it's interesting to see it whenever they do break things up and make them a little bit more, more original and just different. And so I'm glad that they did that. But going away from raiding, we have to talk about something else, which is the Midsummer Fire Festival. Now, guys, I know you might be thinking, why the fuck do I care about this? And honestly, I can't really answer that. But the way that I look at this is, I'm gonna tell you guys the truth, is that Midsummer Fire Festival has had a special place in my heart ever since the time that I started playing this game, because whenever I started playing was in July of 2006, which is almost 11 years ago. It's been a long time. So whenever I first started playing, I remember seeing people spinning at those little poles and wondering, oh wow, this is really, really cool. And then one day the poles disappeared and I didn't understand why, and I was a little bit disappointed. But ever since then, I just always kind of had a good place in my heart, and it was always very nostalgic for me to see people spinning around those poles anytime that the Midsummer Fire Festival comes around. Now, there are a couple of new things that were added into the Midsummer Fire Festival this year. There are two new vanity items, so you can waste your time farming them. There's one item that's a toy. It's worth, I think, 500 of the little burning blossoms that you loot from the different fires. And there's also a pet that you can get, which is 350 of the burning blossoms. So I'd recommend for you to farm one on one character and then get on another character and farm the other one on that character, just to maximize your efficiency, so you don't have to go for the hard to find different nodes. So I definitely went out and did that, as well as there are a number of new achievements. I believe that there are 4 new achievements. There are 2 Draenor achievements and 2 Broken Shore achievements or Broken Isles achievements. You guys will see in the B-roll footage here that I'll have the locations for all of those different places that you need to go to get those achievements done. And so if you're like me and you like getting achievements, that's 40 extra points. So I was very glad to see that again, and it's always really cool to just be, be able to see that, especially from my perspective, because it is a little bit nostalgic. Now, also, Blizzard has done a number of pretty interesting things. Number one is that they went on the WoW Reddit/r/WoW, and they did an AMA, Ask Me Anything, with the class developers. Now, they handled and they fielded some general questions, but mostly this was questions about different classes and how they function. And I really appreciate the developers doing that. Now, I will give you guys a link to the whole thing, but there was so much information in that, I'm not really going to put it all in this video, but it was really great to see some of the insight from all of the class developers, and I do believe that every single class got at least a couple of answers, or a couple of answers for many of the questions that that class has had for quite a while. I know for Warriors they talked about Gladiator stance and a couple of other things as well, and I was really glad to see that. Talked about Arms Warriors and how they were reworked, and so the big questions that I feel like were big questions like Gladiator stance, Focused Rage, Arms Warriors, all of those things that I thought were very important that needed to be addressed for Warriors were addressed, so I would recommend for you guys to check that out and look at your class's section and see what they had to say about what you play, because you never know, they might answer some questions that you were actually curious about as well. Now, also, they added, as a lot of you guys know, the legendaries, now, after Sargeras is out, the legendaries drop at 970, and there's a quest to upgrade the legendaries up to 970. Now, it requires, I think, 50 Writhing Essences. Now, Writhing Essences are obtained in a number of different ways, but they added a new way recently, and this was posted on the, I think, the Twitter page for the Blizzard devs or Warcraft devs, is what they're doing now is every single random heroic that you do, or your first one for the day, actually, the first one that you do gives you 5 Writhing Essences. So this, of course, I mean, like, it's like I've said this before, is that Blizzard can give people gold bars and people are going to complain that they're too heavy. So, of course, some people are mad. They're like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I hate heroics. Like, bro, like, I mean, come on, do you hate heroics? Like, I mean, you have to go do emissary quests. Like, again, like, what are you going to do? You go kill the same, like, 10 vampirates over and over? You're going to go kill the Dreadstalker riders? You're going to go collect squirrels and nuts for the Val-Sharad druids, but the doing a heroic is somehow more repetitive than that? Like, I can see an argument for not having any of the legendary upgrades and just retroactively upgrading everything. But if you're going to complain about having to do a daily heroic, man, like, I mean, maybe you should play something besides an MMO if your time is that valuable. But anyway, I think it was probably a good change. It's going to accelerate people being able to level up their weapons, or not their weapons, but their the legendaries, which I think is good because many people now have over 10 legendaries, and it would just be really frustrating to have to only be able to level up one of those a day, or a week, which would kind of correlate to something like, what was that, like 10 weeks or something? So you're looking at over 3 months before you can play at the same capacity than you were already at. And I don't really feel like that's fun for anybody. So adding a few extra ways for people to get those Writhing Essences, I think, is definitely a positive thing. And they were also converted to a currency. Now, previously, they were a quest reward, and so whenever you would complete a quest, it would reduce the amount of Writhing Essences that you had back down to 0, but now, since they're a currency, it carries over. That is a good change. I'm glad they did that. I don't really have anything else to say. It's just good. Now, I was doing a Brawlers Guild the other day, and I don't know if this is true, but I do believe that there might be a few extra bosses that were added in. I saw somebody fighting the Blind Hero, and also I fought like this big robot guy that gave me a new shirt, like one of the not this one, but a new shirt that I got, which was kind of cool. So I would recommend, if you've got pretty good gear, you want to go over to the Brawlers Guild, maybe try out a few of those bosses. It does seem like they've added a few other ones, but that might have been in patch 7.2 or patch 7.25. I just went in there a little bit earlier today, and I had that experience, so I wanted to share it with you guys in case nobody else knows about it, because I looked it up on Google and I didn't really find any information at all about the bosses that I was fighting. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about in terms of news is something that you guys need to know. Next week, actually 2 things. Number 1, before I forget, is that PvP, if you can, if you don't suck at PvP, I would definitely recommend for you to at least try to do some level of PvP. Now, the reason for that is, number 1, it gives you Writhing Essences whenever you complete the weekly honor requirements, but also if you get up to like 1900, 2K, I think at 2400 you get an item level 930 piece of gear, which is equivalent to TOS Mythic. So if you're a very good PvPer, make sure that you get up to that level of that benchmark. And if you're not really quite that good, maybe try to get as close as you can to hopefully get a couple of extra pieces that are going to help take you into Mythic TOS and help you get some better gear before you're even able to go in there. So I definitely think that's something that you guys need to know. Now, on top of that, Mythic Plus is being scaled up tomorrow, which is next Tuesday. And that means that today, you guys need to make sure that you have a plus 15 done on any character that you want to get the chest for, because it is going to retroactively upgrade your chest to a plus 15 chest tomorrow. So that means that that chest is going to drop a item level 930 piece of gear, I believe. So if you want to get that, you want to make sure you have your plus 15 done for the week to be prepared for going into tomorrow, which is going to be, of course, not only the first day that you're able to get the Mythic Plus increased rewards, and that's when all of that stuff happens, but also that's whenever the Mythic Tomb of Sargeras comes out. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm curious to see what the Mythic fights are going to be like. Some of the people in very, very high-end guilds have actually said that the TOS race and killing Mythic kil'jaden might take as long, if not longer, to kill than Gul'dan, which would be extremely surprising. So that's pretty much all for the news for today. I think that obviously not a lot has really gone on, but a lot has gone on. It's just all been centralized in one thing, which is Tomb of Sargeras. Now, for myself personally, I didn't really have that many great accomplishments today, but I did have something that was a culmination of a lot of accomplishments, which is I finally hit 28,000 achievement points, which, I mean, I should have hit that like months ago, honestly. I used to be super serious with achievement points, and now I kind of consider myself a casual, but I finally hit 28,000 achievement points doing the most unlikely thing that you could possibly believe. I finally bought like the jewel crafting little toy, and I got the achievement for getting a lot of points in a jewel crafting game. And that got me 28,000 achievement points. On top of that, I got some pretty good loot from Tomb of Sargeras on week 1. I got 3 of the, I'm 1 piece away from my 4-piece, and I also got some other stuff as well, so I'm really glad about that. Hopefully this week I'll be able to get the mount from the Mistress Shazra, whatever, the Abyss Worm, but we'll have to see. Anyway, guys, I'd be very curious to hear what your experiences were in the first week of Tomb of Sargeras. I had a great time, and I think a lot of other people did too. So again, make sure that you take advantage of the Midsummer Fire Festival stuff that was added this year. Make sure you get ready for your Mythic Plus, get your PvP rating as high as possible so you can get that gear for next week, and also make sure you have your plus 15 done so you can get your item all 930 gear for next week, and just be as ready as possible for Mythic Tomb of Sargeras, or just say fuck it and collect Burning Blossoms and get pets and toys from the Midsummer Fire Festival. Whatever you want to do, go ahead and do it, and go ahead and let me know. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I've got for today, so thank you very much for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.